So I'm Dion. I'm from Eflowtion, a service that offers EFT tapping and Soma Ref to the world. And if you come via our Facebook page, you'll see, and I'll promote to the other social platforms, that there is now a group EFT and group Soma session that I'll be doing. The first one is on the 1st of December. Tickets for Eventbrite, or go to the Soma Ref website under under live events. You'll see the Tap Into Your Power, Soma Ref and EFT combined. So $11 as well, which is great for an hour and a half of EFT and Soma Ref. So my apologies for taking so long with the Soma Ref. So as with all these tap and chats, we'll be doing a tapping on forgiving our hurt. With all these, we tap along on the meridian point that is on the side of the palm there. There's also another one there, so if you feel free to tap, or if you know the points are in the body as I talk, because as I talk, emotions may arise. And I guess that's also why I took the time to actually create like this Skype, I keep saying Skype, Zoom meeting, because I wanted to address this in the best possible way I can, and the best quality I can, which is called forgiveness. And you're probably to see my cat. he's coming, he's finally made his debut. So forgiving our hurt. Now, apart from the title, I have no idea where I'm going with this, so bear with me as I guess go into the old intuition land on what I'm going to say. I guess if we're forgiving hurt, it can be either hurt that's being done to us or hurt that we do to ourselves. And I'll see which way I'll go first. Well, I'll start with the obvious. The forgiveness of hurt that I guess has been caused by other people to ourselves. Now, a lot of harm, whether it's direct or indirect, whether it's like people are purposely being harmful towards you, or just sort of like perceived or offhand comments sort of thing that I guess are hurtful, or just like just sort of neglectful, or just sort of just disinterest sometimes can be, I guess, hurtful. I guess in the sense of whether someone has been, I guess, inflicted hurt upon you, forgiveness of that can actually be quite tricky and takes time, takes healing, and may never happen, depending on the person. And I'm talking forgiveness from, like, say, if hurt was done to myself sort of thing, forgiving the other person for that. That's what I mean by that. But that said, I guess in the, because we typically don't like to forgive. I think we like the idea of like people that can forgive, and that, like, and we normally put it towards like a pope or something, like some person, that some holy person that's somehow has unlocked the ability to forgive, sort of thing. It's like an unlocked skill. And I think, yeah, there is something in that unlocking of something. But, and we can be a very, I guess, a persecutory type society sometimes. Someone's done something wrong, therefore it's punitive action, sort of thing. It's like the worst case, and I'm not saying that that's the wrong thing, sort of thing. I'm saying, like, if someone has to, I guess, go to jail, sort of thing, then I guess for safety of others in the sense. But I think where I was going with that was when you look at, say, I'm really going to be joining some dots here. When you look at, like, say, like a jail sort of thing, I mean, they term it now as a correctional facility. With, as I was saying before, the unlocking as well, sort of thing. I mean, the two sort of kind of go hand in hand. I'm just trying to see where they join. It's, I guess, that persecutory harm has been done to you, sort of thing, and therefore the person goes to a jail, now termed a correctional facility. And I guess in a correctional facility, I don't know, but I hope that there would actually be a correcting of behaviors, because everything is a learnt thing. It's like we don't necessarily like choose going to prison as a profession, sort of thing. It's like it's a group of circumstances since childhood that has linked you towards doing harm to someone else, sort of thing. And whether at the end of coming out of a correctional facility, depending on if there's been any sort of correcting of sorts, I mean, it's a quite a, correcting is quite a harsh word in itself. I guess, well, a reframing of behaviors, as we're doing here, because this is what we're actually doing, is a reframing, a looking at things from a different point of view. I guess, like at the end, hopefully a person has come out and gone, hey, my situation since probably childhood has led me to being like how I got to causing harm to another person. Now, of course, this person that has gone in has actually caused harm to someone else. And the title of this is Forgiving Our Hurt. Now, I guess in the sense of like an awareness of less of the judging, the good, bad, evil, never will change the thing, attitude to the thing, and an awareness of someone that probably since birth had probably the same opportunities that you did. It was just the environment that they grew up in was a different environment that you grew up in. If they grew up perhaps in your environment, they wouldn't have led to causing hurt towards yourself, be it minor or quite severe. And I guess where I'm going with this is, like, say, for example, and this is the best case example, because like through my work, I have worked with people that have exited out of prison, sort of thing. And, you know, it's like they're doing their best, sort of thing, but whether, and this is not a judgment as well on the correctional facilities, but I guess it's what correction is actually being done. And in the sense of like having an awareness of like someone that's come out, hopefully with the aspect of going inward and looking at how their circumstances led to them to that situation, has created an awareness with themselves that has literally unlocked forgiveness of themselves. And hopefully, I guess, then it comes to the person that it has been, the pain inflicted upon them, whether to them or to family members, for example. Now, the same, having that awareness or understanding of how someone got to be where they were and caused harm upon themselves, on yourself, sort of. I guess that same awareness and understanding can actually lead into a forgiving or entering into a forgiving mindset. I guess it doesn't take the pain away of what was inflicted upon yourself, but at the same time, if we all had the same beginning and the like the scenario, that whether it was family environment, outside of family environment, this a whole series of environments that led to a bad behavior, or just a continuing out of bad and acting out of bad behavior, I guess at the same time, having that awareness that, in the sense of, if you can understand or even be open to understanding the other person's environment or situation that led to it, it may lead to an opening of forgiveness for the person that has inflicted harm upon yourself. Now, I know it's a raw nerve and it's very lightly touched upon, sort of thing, as far as like a reframing of. But I guess if we go at things where it's just like good, bad sort of thing, not how, well, similar to my last one with the battery, with the positive and the negative. In some, actually I have it, one I prepared earlier. Say the negative, for example, like say we all started off at the positive end, sort of thing, but somewhere along the process, along the way, we ended up in the negative. So it's not just a simple, you know, I will choose to be a bad person and inflict. There is normally a build up. So I guess what I'm trying to say is understanding that journey, how that person actually got to inflicting the harm upon. I guess forgiveness as well of that is something that is individual to everyone. I'm not going to say that you should go out and that. The only thing I can say is, I guess, the energy driven into, or the anger driven into hating the other person and like just wishing them ill and evil, actually takes away your ability or the energy or the health, because there's a lot of stress in that. The stress would affect your own health, sort of thing. So in a sense, it's not, in a way, not forgiving the person that's like, oh, hey, you did this to my so-and-so, you did these terrible things to all these people, sort of thing, and I forgive you. And, you know, it's like, but it's almost a freeing of self, sort of thing, with the forgiving, where if you can forgive, like it's almost like by forgiving, you're letting go. You're no longer holding on to the anger and the stress and the grief and the pain and the hurt that is caused, because in a way, and I really hope you're tapping along when I say this, in a way, it's almost you become another victim of a past event that may have been done to you or to someone else. By a long journey of healing, by forgiving, you're freeing yourself of, I guess, the I mean, there's many emotions attached to it, whether it would be guilt, the shame, the anger, the boiling rage, all those sorts of things. I guess you free yourself of that, and it's almost like changing your focus to something else, where you're always at the negative end of the battery. Now you're trying to focus towards the positive. So, and I guess that's why, like with the popes and all that sort of thing, like they like, I don't know, but I'm just going to take a guess that maybe that's why they forgive, sort of thing. It's like, in that, I mean, it's a guess. Now, the other side of it is hurt that we may have caused upon ourselves. And in some ways, that can relate to like by freeing yourself of the anger and all that you feel towards someone else. You're actually improving your own self, so you're no longer hurting. Forgiving your own hurt. It's it's not that we're purposely hurting ourselves. We're responding with hurt. Or that's our best, that's our best response to a situation that's happened. And it sounds counterproductive, but it's what our bodies do. It's how it somehow keeps us safe, sort of thing. It's like an example would be like trying to think of a good example. There's many examples. Well, we'll start simple. So, like, say going for a run, for example, it actually does release a lot of good emotions, sort of thing, but your body is actually overheating, sort of thing. So it's kind of like a stressful response. So you're actually releasing sweat to cool your body down. That's your body's response to like a stressful situation, or just being hot. Like right now, it's quite humid in this room, and my body is starting to sweat just to cool myself down. That's the body's response. And another way is like where, like if you get tense shoulders, you get a tense neck, you get headaches that come and go sometimes, and it only seems to happen when you think about certain things or have to go to a certain environment or have to do certain things. But it comes and goes, and maybe with a bit of a painkiller, it'll help and you can go into that situation, but you may never actually feel truly comfortable in that situation. And it's almost as if a situation that may have been similar or something, or there's certain people that remind you of other people from the past that you may be responding to. And the best response that your body can actually do is start to armor up. It's starting to tense up. It's starting to prepare. It's starting to go either into a fight, flight, or freeze response, sort of thing. So it's either getting armoring up to fight or it's armoring up to run. You might get like a lot of stiff back, lower sore back, sort of thing, because the psoas muscle is kicking in, sort of thing, the fight, flight, freeze muscle, where you actually are wanting to run away. But if you can't, or if you're told not to, and you become frozen in a sense, your body starts to go into a freeze response. It immobilizes. So then you start to get a lot of chronic pain that starts to happen. And along with that is the stress that gets released, the cortisol in the body. Now, all of these things naturally, say animals in the wild would actually be able to release quite well. They would shake it out. They would either run away. They would complete their escape, sort of thing. But as humans, with all our, I mean, even right now with lockdowns and all that sort of thing, we can't actually escape or express how we actually feel, sort of thing. Sometimes, like I know for myself, like sometimes when I get really stressed, I'll scratch my arm, sort of thing. But it's a stress response, or things like rosacea and stuff like that start to emerge from within, sort of thing. So that hurt from within is actually like, I guess, arising or emerging into the outside world, sort of thing. And I guess in a way, it's like back to the person that was in the prison, they too were acting out the pain that was trapped within themselves as well. That maybe like as simple as thing as like bouncing the knee. You see those people that bounce their knees, sort of thing, that real anxious thing. It's like, and typically we have our legs slapped or we're told to stop, sort of thing, and you just have to force that leg down, sort of thing. And it's like, but where does that energy go? It doesn't magically go away. It doesn't, by the person's command, it doesn't go away. It tends to remain and it gets stored in the body and then starts to emerge other places. So, and if we've got so much energy in our body, it's either going to explode or implode. In many cases, it may just implode, and in very unfortunate cases, it may explode to the point where, back to the first scenario, where it may be inflicting harm upon other people. Or because we had these trapped emotions within ourselves that really did hurt. And I guess with everything, with any sort of pain, like with a painkiller, with an alcohol, with a drug of any type, we're trying to escape that hurt. We don't want to be there. So I think it's not quite nice to be in that hurt, or not even know what's hurting us, sort of thing. We're just trying to do our best to help ourselves, or numb ourselves, or suppress ourselves, without actually really truly knowing what may, or maybe we do know what actually was the cause of the hurt. Now back to the title of this tapping is Forgiving Our Hurt. In the same way of forgiving, like say the prisoner or whatever it was, we become a prisoner of our own body if we don't forgive our own hurt, sort of thing. And knowing, and also I guess with forgiveness comes understanding, along with awareness. And it's an understanding that that was what our body was trying to protect us with at the same time. We might be doing drastic things to ourselves, but that's our bodies. We're trying to release a lot of that pain that's stored inside. And with a lot of recovery work, I mean, the recovery work is a recovery of yourself, sort of thing. You've gotten lost or disconnected along the way. I can say that for myself. But a recovery of self, a finding is another way of looking at it, a finding of self, of that person that had that love taken away, that had that terrible thing done to, and may not have had either the appropriate care or the appropriate response. And that in itself can be quite a scary thing. That can be quite a shocking thing, quite traumatic. And when we don't feel safe within ourselves, and that we'll turn to other things to actually keep ourselves, whether it's people, whether it's, once again, those substances and that, or just other, I guess, addictive behaviors and that. So in a way, in the same way of like with the prisoner or the person forgiving the other person, it's coming to an understanding and an awareness of oneself that we had hurt done to ourselves. We had maybe love that was taken away or was maybe twisted in some ways. So we didn't know how to love. So in some ways it's a forgiving that you did the best thing that you could at the right time, and you've still survived to this point, but it's forgiving yourself so you can allow yourself to live more freely, sort of thing, and grow into the positive mindset. Like in the last thing, you sort of like got to taste that bitter to get to that sweet. You're tasting that, or having that awareness that, you know, probably some bad stuff had happened, and by being aware of it, having that understanding and compassion for oneself, you can start to make the travel back, because you probably started off as positive, traveled into negative, but it is possible to come back to the positive. So, and at the end of the day, the positive and the negative still power yourself, sort of thing. I guess it's like getting that balance back into more of the positive. I get balance back into more of the, doesn't quite make sense, but you know, I guess tilting it more towards seeing the world through a negative point of view or a negative framework. And by forgiving yourself, forgiving that hurt that was either inflicted upon you or that is being, what's the word, suppressed, within yourself, or just not being able to be heard, a voice that was, because if we can't actually voice our hurt, then once again, it's a suppression. If we start to talk and we're told to basically shut up sort of thing, then it's like, that's abuse in a sense. So being able to healthily voice your opinion is actually a good way, a good way to be on your way to recovering yourself. But yeah, definitely freeing yourself by forgiving your hurt and maybe giving love to your hurt, because all it's known is hurt. By giving your self-love to yourself, that where you can, it's kind of like where you've cut your arm and you give yourself a band-aid sort of thing. You're healing yourself by giving yourself self-love, by nurturing yourself, by caring for yourself. That part that had that love taken away, bringing it back into yourself or cultivating it from within, is a good way to actually, I guess, free yourself, or there we go, unlock yourself from the binds, that the physical painful binds, that those hurtful binds that have been holding you back. So that said, there is a EFT tapping element. I have no idea how long I've gone, but that said, we'll move into an EFT tapping on forgiving the hurt, or forgiving our hurt. So I guess I will say our as in when I tap on the points, you just repeat after what I say, and with our, I'll just reframe it to I. So you just repeat back to I. So we'll start with a setup statement, maybe rating the intensity on a SUD score, a subjective unit of stress scale, 0 being no, I guess, hurt or need to forgive the hurt, and 10, a big need to forgive that hurt, and seeing where you rate after. So that said, taking full responsibility for your own well-being, we'll do a setup statement. Even though I've had this hurt and I've been carrying it with me and I don't want to forgive it, I'm still open to loving and accepting myself. Even though I've had all this hurt, I've been hurt, and it hurts terribly, I'm still open to loving and accepting myself. Even though I may be open to forgiving my hurt, but it may hurt to actually say that. I'm still open to loving and accepting myself. All this hurt that I've been carrying, all this hurt, I don't want to forgive this hurt, because when I think about forgiving it, it hurts. It really hurts to think about forgiving all my hurt. That thing that happened to me, that thing that happened to those people, how could I possibly forgive that? I'm just overwhelmed with hurt. And all I think about, all I feel, And all I experience in this world is bound up in hurt. That hurt that was done. And I can't forgive that. And even when I think about forgiving it, there's like this caged beast that's inside of me. And it's angry. And it's bitter. It's terribly sad. And it's terribly hurt. Because it had some love taken away from it. This caged animal. Deep inside of me. It's had such terrible stuff done to it. And maybe I've done some stuff to that terrible animal inside of me. Maybe I've hurt it. Maybe I've done some things that I'm not terribly proud of. And it really hurts to think about it. It's almost like that caged animal becomes a heavy weight. That just weighs me down. That stops me from seeing the positive in life. It only wants to focus on the negative. And I give that caged animal some negative treatment. And either way I look at it, whether the hurt was done to me, or I'm doing the hurt to myself, I just can't forgive it. And maybe that caged animal isn't a caged animal. Maybe that caged animal is our inner child. That had some terrible things done to it. Maybe a long list of terrible things. And it's had that love taken away. My inner child has had that love taken away. And in its place, it gets treated with anger and hurt. But maybe I want to treat my inner child with some love. Because it wasn't its fault. That inner child was just doing its best. Experiencing the world the way it could. But unfortunately, there were things in the world that taught it some bad behaviors. And now it's hurting. We're like all children. They grow and they're best nurtured with some loving care. So I might not be open to forgiving my hurt, but I might be open to giving myself some self-love. I might be open to caring for myself, even though I don't want to. Because I deserve love. I may have had it taken away from me, but if it was taken away from me, it means I had it at some stage. So maybe I want to return to that good feeling, to that safe feeling of being nurtured by giving myself some self-love and giving myself the care that I truly deserve, and giving myself the love that I truly deserve. For I deserve that love. I deserve that care. And maybe there's a stirring in my chest, or wherever it might be. And it may have a different feeling when it hears the word self-love. It might get angry. It might get really upset because it's been hurt before. So the best way to protect itself, like a child going to its room and slamming the door, is to bind our body back up again with some hurt. Because it's been hurt and it doesn't want to be hurt again. But we're coming with compassion now. I'm coming with compassion. I'm coming with care. And I'm coming with some self-love to say to that little person inside of me, I'm open to forgiving in order that we can be free from the binds of emotional hurt, of emotional abuse, of physical hurt and physical abuse to ourselves and to others. Freeing ourselves from that hurt, freeing ourselves from that pain, being open to forgiving so we can experience life in a positive mindset. And maybe just doing some tapping right now to release some of that hurt. Might be just that form of self-love. You might just take that edge off just a little bit. Giving ourselves that self-love. We deserve self-love. I deserve self-love. I deserve self-care. I deserve compassion. And I deserve to be free in body, mind, and soul. Taking a deep breath in. If you've got a drink of water or tea, go for it. So a tapping on forgiving of hurt. Of course, like, I don't imagine that from this session that you'll be going, hey, I can forgive my hurt, sort of thing. Great if you could. Like, as far as like if that was like you're just on that edge and that helped unbind those, that would be great. EFT can do that. But I guess with forgiving of hurt, it's normally a stage in a recovery of self journey, or a forgiving of self, or a compassion of self journey, that is coming towards like the end. Or I guess we're always on a continuum, but as far as like shedding that weight of carrying that burden of anger, whole mix of emotions in there, not a lot of them positive, but I guess if you can free yourself from that, I guess it's kind of like if you were trying to swim in an ocean and you had like a lead weight that was tied to your leg, sort of thing, but it wasn't quite sinking you all the way down to the bottom, sort of thing. You're always just stuck in that limbo of pain. I guess by cutting that rope, you would start to emerge, sort of thing, and arise into, I guess, a positive surrounding, sort of thing. You could really go with metaphors, lights, clouds, you know, all that sort of stuff. I guess better than the because with the depths of an ocean, there's the pressure, the constriction. So I guess from freeing yourself from that, you move in from a lesser constricted state into an expansion state, sort of thing. So, and with everything that flows freely, you move more naturally through life, rather than with that, once again, that framework of just the hurt that was done, either by others or to ourselves. So that's it. I'll let you all go. Once again, another long one. So I'm Dion from Eflowtion. If any of that resonated with you, and you'd like a one-on-one session with either myself or my wife, Rebecca, who also offers EFT, definitely book in for a session, and we can do a more one-on-one, which would be more directed towards your individual needs, because once again, I'm sort of being a bit specific or global with what I'm saying. So it will actually help target more your own issues. And also I offer the Soma breath, and the Soma breath is actually a really great way to actually free the body and unlock a lot of good health benefits as well. And there's, once again, on the Facebook page, a link, 1st of December, a group EFT and Soma breath combined. So we'll tap on the EFT on any topic that anyone wants to bring up. There's a consensus sort of thing, we can tap on that, and then we'll move into a breath work and just really help balance out sort of any, I guess, negative emotions that were reduced or released through the EFT. The Soma breath will really help balance with that. So that's it. I'm Dion from Eflowtion, and I look forward to seeing you. And once again, sorry, forgive the hurt for the false start before. So I think I'll go a bit more with Zoom now. So okay, I'm Dion, and I'll see you in the next one.